It's Unhinged with Brian Fuller. Tonight's guest, one of the smartest men in the world, Alberto Sangiovanni-Vincentelli. The top 5 social sites to invest in and the infamous industry teardown. And now, the man who thinks Googling is a medical procedure, Brian Fuller.
Are we fired yet? No, we are not. I'm Brian Fuller, and we're back with episode 3 of Unhinged, the technology show that asks you the most probing and fundamental question of our time, to wit, why did the engineer cross the road? Because it was a lower impact solution than developing a means of removing the road, thereby negating the need for crossing at all. Now, if you've seen shows 1 and 2, you get the idea. If this is your first Unhinged, well, you're in for a treat. But ultimately, as my grandfather used to say, you'll be the judge of that. So let's hit the buffet. Here are this week's appetizers. iPhone 5S rocks. We're going to show you. Microsoft, Nokia. The top 5 alternative social media sites. Alberto's in the house. Mamma mia. We tear down a ThinkPad, and if you think those babies aren't tough, think again. Now, to the news. Take 1. Electronics companies are talking in happy, high-pitched voices after U.S. lawmakers voted to prevent the shutdown of a helium reservoir in Texas. Helium, the second most abundant element, is used in everything from medical devices
to party balloons to semiconductor manufacturing. There were squeals of protest when news leaked that the debt-laden reservoir was going to close this month, but now the government will transition out of the helium business. Prices are expected to rise like, what else? A helium balloon.
Take 2. Apple is doing a bang-up business with the release of its new iPhone 5S. And one of the new features is the new and improved camera that takes incredible pictures. In fact, I'm going to ask Sean O'Kane to take a picture of me with his new 5S to show you the amazing quality of the picture. Sean, get your butt up here, bud.
Hey, buddy. I just want to say you look marvelous. So you ready? This is a cool camera on a cool phone.
It's my good side.
Okay, ready? Good. Looks just like you.
Wow, that's amazing. Just amazing. But you know, people tell me I look more like Clooney.
Oh, I thought you looked more like Don Knotts.
Thanks. On a serious note, there's an engineer doing a 6-year stretch in prison because he violated U.S. export control laws. It's a complex and arcane world, but it's fraught with peril for electronics companies. Larry Diesenhoff, a noted export compliance officer, recently gave an excellent overview of export compliance at an EDAC event. You can read my blog about it here, and you can check out the presentation and video on the EDAC site here. Remember, it's all fun and games until somebody may have another. Remember, it's all fun and games until somebody makes you wear the orange jumpsuit, unless, of course, you're making a TV show about it. Okay, now to our top 5 list. With over half the internet population on social networks, organizations are scrambling for new ways to build more followers. And here's the scoop for you social media geeks. VentureBeat recently came out with the top 5 hottest up-and-coming social sites that you should invest in 2014. Right now, you probably know the top dogs: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn. But now, the top 5 alternative social media sites to invest in. Number 5, in your face, book. Number 4, Google C++. Number 3, Twitter, rolling out its new mafia site called Hey, I'm Talking to You. Number 2, Wally's Hat Shop. And the number 1 social media site to invest in 2014, Amish Interest. Amish Interest. Pinterest. I didn't write that line. Sean wrote that line. Okay, now to the heart of the lineup. Our next guest's technology chops are beyond question. And like Madonna, he's known worldwide by only his first name. He's taught engineering at UC Berkeley since 1976, and in 1982 he co-founded a new EDA company, SDA Systems. He helped bring SDA Systems and ECAD together to form Cadence in 1988, and he served on the company's board of directors since 1991. He's written nearly 800 papers, inspired new generations of engineers, and pioneered such concepts as platform-based design and system-level design. My colleague and an EDA guru in his own right, Richard Gehring, sat down with Alberto for a little conversazione about innovazione. Let's listen to an excerpt.
In fact, there is a prediction that by 2020 there are going to be trillions of devices, which means that each one living person on Earth is going to correspond to 1,000 devices.
This is the sensory swarm.
Sensory swarm, yes. And so the sensory swarm is a real interesting part of the Internet of Things, I believe. And so because that is going to change radically the way in which we interact with the information infrastructure. So much so that we think that the era of smartphones is going to last up to a point, then it's going to disappear. Smartphones, laptops, everything, except for people who are using it for professional use. But normal people will interact with the environment in very natural form. And so what happens is that you move back the center of activity not on the gadgets, but human people, they interact with the internet the way in which they interact with the person. You can even imagine, this social network kind of brouhaha, and many say that the social networks dehumanize interactions, but you can think in this new world of the sensory swarm that you could create, for example, holograms of the person you're talking to, and so it's like having video conversation, but in 3 dimensions. So you see the person in front of you. And you can even imagine to have haptic interfaces, so you can even shake hands and have the same feeling of shaking the hand of a person. So this dehumanization is going to go away because it's really like talking to each other, even though I may be in Japan and you are here, but the kind of interaction is exactly the same. There's no difference.
Now, the complete interview with Alberto can be seen right here, and it's well worth your time. So, next up, the notorious teardown. If you've ever dropped your laptop, you know how delicate those seemingly big things are. Not so much with this baby. Let's take a look as Sean O'Kane works his magic again.
Hi, Brian. As part of our teardown series, what we have here is the IBM ThinkPad. It's a T43P, and this is pretty much obsolete at this point. Let's find out what's inside, okay? Well, Brian, this was run over twice, and what I can say is IBM has put together one sturdy laptop. Back to you.
That was a ThinkPad T42. It was first released in 2007, oh lo, those many years ago. It's powered by an Intel 1 gigahertz mobile Pentium M with 2 megabytes onboard L2 cache memory. It weighed 6 pounds and measured 13 by 10.6 by 1.3 inches. Its case was made of kryptonite. Thanks, Sean. Nice job, buddy. Now, again, you can see the complete Alberto Sangiovanni-Vincentelli interview right here. And thanks to you for watching this edition of Unhinged. Follow us everywhere, but don't stalk. And our next show airs in 2 weeks. Until then, noodle on this. How many engineers does it take to change the light bulb? Why bother? The socket will be obsolete in 6 months. See ya.